Alright, I promise this video isn't just about this. This is just the setup to how I discovered what the video is actually about. If you were there for the live stream during our Faction War qualifiers, you will recognize this game. I am the Skaven versus Azek Arnheim? I don't really know how to say his name, but he was the Norskin player. We had a very close game, and my lord could not escape on his Brood Horror, and I ended up getting knocked out. Now, when I went back to reviews this, I wanted to say that Brood Horrors are bugged, and the original point of this video was to say that Brood Horrors can never truly reach the speed they're supposed to, and that no matter how fast you make them, they don't really gain speed. That's what this video is supposed to be about. Skinwolves are trying to chase me down. They have 75 speed. I have 81. This is after vigor penalties got added, and wounds and all these things. You can hover over it and see it. So this is actually 81 speed, and they are actually 75. They are not charging me, and yet they are catching up. They are closing the distance, even without their charge bonus. Now I'm also going to get into the trees. They're now charging downhill. They're still gaining on me a little bit. As I enter the trees, I lose more speed, 65 speed. This one is more legit, because they have 71 speed. I had 65 for a little bit. Now I'm back to 81. Still, the Skinwolves are going to try and catch me. Now, how did the Skinwolves close the gap that entire time or even keep up with me if I was supposedly faster? Again, we're not going to hyper-focus on this replay. This was the replay that made me start looking into this issue. Alright, so now to test it, see what's going on with this. I grabbed 95 speed dogs and 95 speed Brood Horrors. 2 Brood Horrors without the Warlord, 1 with the Warlord. And my point was to show that all of these units, with the same exact speed, the dogs would pull ahead of the Brood Horrors. That was the theory, again, when I thought the video I was making would be Brood Horrors are bugged. Now what we can see here is the Brood Horrors are largely keeping up with the dogs. Largely. On the whole, not getting further ahead of them, always staying with the second row of dogs here, right? Now once in a while they'll kind of fall behind a little bit, but not nearly enough to justify my theory. And also, I noticed they fall apart at very certain points. But generally, these units do travel together. Generally, they travel at the same speed. Generally. Now we're traveling at an angle, so these guys are going to pull ahead a little bit. But if you're going perfectly side by side, they're not doing what the Skinwolves were doing, you know, where these guys had, okay, the Skinwolves had 10 less speed than me and they were catching up slowly. These guys have the same speed, right? And we're going the same. So if the Brood Horrors were bugged, you'd see them noticeably pulling ahead. And now this test is where I started to see the differences. Going up a hill, if I give them the same orders at the same time, my Warlord even starts off at the first row. He's with the first row of dogs, right? And as they go up the hill, he ends up with the 4th row of dogs. He considerably fell behind in that very, very short distance. Going downhill, I don't actually remember if it changes anything at all. I mean, it took forever to turn around, so that doesn't really matter. But you might say, hey, that's just acceleration. Well, let's give him more time to accelerate. Okay, have him run at the wall. The Warlord is even with the 3rd or the 4th line of wolf rats, and they hit the hill, and he falls considerably behind. Now, if you look at his speed, it still says 95. It does not say debuffed by going uphill or anything. But if he enters the forest right here, terrain. So forests count as a terrain, but hills do not. So now if we take a look at other units, we have Norskin Warhounds and Norskin Ice Wolves. Theoretically, the same unit, but Norskin Ice Wolves are large, while Norskin Warhounds are small. We'll have them both run at the wall. Roughly even. The acceleration helped out the Norskin Warhounds a bit. The Norskin Ice Wolves don't fall behind on the hill. They stay relatively with the Norskin Warhounds. Now I'll bring them back to the bottom while I set up my next point. Marauder Horsemasters have a speed of 72. I think it's 90 when they're not in the woods. Yeah, it's 90 when they're not in the woods. Got it. Norskin Ice Wolves, get out of there. Hey. Shoo. Shoo, boy. Alright. So, let's try Marauder Horsemasters and dogs. Okay? I'm going to put the dogs behind the Marauder Horsemasters. And run up the same hill. Okay, dogs are behind the Horsemasters, dogs are behind the Horsemasters, dogs are already getting ahead of them. Dogs are flying up that hill with only a 5 speed difference. They fly up the hill, get way ahead of the Horsemasters. Now this is a teeny tiny fucking hill, by the way. And the last thing I'll do with this exact setup is Horsemen and Skinwolves. Skin Wolves is 75 speed. Some of you might have already figured out what's going on, but wait for everybody else to catch up to you, my smart ones. All right, Skin Wolves are only 75 speed. Horsemen or 90 speed. If the Skin Wolves have a little bit of a lead here, getting up to the top, the Horsemen should still fly past because they should both slow down. They're both large units after all. Maybe the dogs are just special. Skin Wolves end up kind of derping around a little bit, but when they hit the hill, you notice that they are not falling behind. In fact, they are gaining a little bit on the Horsemen, who have 15 more speed than them. They stay even or catch up to them. Now, why do the Horsemasters slow down so much and the Skin Wolves don't? It's Strider. Strider ignores terrain effects. Norscan Ice Wolves have Strider. Norscan Warhounds don't. If you really wanted this video to keep going, I don't think it needs to, but I could show you Fleshhounds of Khorne versus Chaos Warhounds of Khorne, and the Fleshhounds slow down significantly while the Warhounds sprint up the hill. Large entities without Strider take a speed debuff moving uphill. Who knows what other stats are affected? I know some people say there's a lot of melee attack and melee defense things as my Marauder Horsemasters get stuck on each other. CA, maybe take a look at that. That would be great. Anyway. Yeah, so Strider, or being infantry-sized, or being infantry-sized and having Strider, affect you differently going up hills, and that's how the Skin Wolves were able to catch my Brood Horror, because they were going up a very slow, sloping hill and then ran through forest. The forest effects we could see, the hill we couldn't. So if you ever wonder why someone can catch you, maybe take a look at the terrain. Maybe it is just charge bullshit, which I'm very used to in Warhammer, when something just is charging me and it gets infinite speed forever and catches me. But that specific example showed me that there is a hidden speed debuff on hills. Roar. Subscribe, yes, yes.